Today we are talking shit about art school. So, first off, new little mic. My girlfriend knows I like little things, so she got me a little mic because she's like, "You're a YouTuber now. You deserve a little mic, like the YouTubers have." And I was like, "You're so right." So, here we are. The first thing I want to say is a disclaimer because I am just going to be talking about my personal experience. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. 1 second. Alright, time to talk shit about art school. Okay. Big disclaimer, this is just my experience. So if you had a different experience with art school, if you didn't like it, if you didn't go to art school, maybe you're self-taught, feel free to write in the comments what you thought about your learning experience, your journey. I am really here to talk about why art school is not it anymore in terms of like a path forward for artists to pursue, I guess. There are two main reasons. Reason number one is it's expensive. Most, if not all of the art schools in the United States at least are private for-profit schools. Is it worth it, taking on that amount of debt? It's a valid concern for people. So the other reason why is because there are simply other cheaper alternatives widely available on the internet, and a lot of them are free, which is why I don't think, like, if you're going to spend money, you might be better off being self-taught and spend like a selective amount of money on a course, on a mentorship. But generally, knowledge is widely available on pretty much any subject. So it's like, are you going to pay over 100K here, or are you going to pay like $500 for a course continuously until you feel like you have a portfolio that's strong enough that will get you a job in your desired industry? Or if you want to be, like a fine artist, things like that, then again, that is all practice and learning fundamentals and things like that, which we're going to get into in a little bit. I don't want to only talk about the negatives, but I do want to talk about some of the positive things that art school brought. The first one is getting close to people who work in the industry, aka your professors. Being able to have a relationship with a professor, with a professional in the industry who has a personal relationship to you and that you can freely go to and ask questions and have some of their time. I had professors in school, like they had worked for Pixar and Disney and ILM and all these like big name companies, and they have people, they know people in those companies. So that's one way you can be connected. I'm not saying they're going to just like get you a job there, but it's a connection. If you just like never talk to them and then one day show up and you're just like, hey, I want a job. I don't think that's gonna get you very far anywhere in any industry. I think you should try your hardest to be personable and just generally nice to people around you. Kindness goes a long way, and being humble also goes a long way. Yeah, just be a nice person and people will like you and they'll want to work with you. It's not that deep, honestly. Or the other thing that I think makes art school a good resource is that you can make connections with others that are in your same class while you're in school, because you quote unquote never know who's gonna make it, right? You never know who right out of school is gonna get a job. The people around you are the same people that are going to be your peers in the industry that you're trying to get into, right? So if someone finds an opportunity at graduation right away and, that same company is hiring other artists and, they reach out to you and say, hey, this company just hired me. They're looking for a 3D modeler. I know you, so you should apply. And then you have a referral. Referral is huge. A referral is huge in trying to get hired. The people around you, they can be a great, great resource. Again, you have to work it though. You have to talk to them and be nice. Those are the kind of main things that I think art school does really well. But then you have to ask yourself, are those things worth it? Because, for example, if you want to get close to people in the industry, like not in art school, you just have to talk to them and attend those events on your own, which may not be discounted or free anymore. So it is a lot more work in regards to the networking part of it. I think art school kind of places you in like a perfect middle ground with like people that all have the same interests and are all trying to go into similar fields or similar places. But again, is it worth it? Only you can answer that. I can't answer that for you. The point of this video for me is simply that to kind of say that the concept of art school at this point with the job market the way that it is may not be the best choice financially, but everyone's situation is different. Now, the biggest takeaway from all of this that I want to talk about is that if you don't go to art school, or even if you do, the biggest thing you should be focusing on, which is probably not the thing that you want to focus on, is the fundamentals. Crucial. Crucial. Absolutely crucial. The fundamentals are what everyone hated doing, but needed to be done. At my school, we had to do fundamentals first. And what this means is we had to take life drawing, learn about composition, we had to learn about perspective. So what I'm saying is, even if art school is not for you, or even if it is, the biggest thing you should be tackling in your art are fundamentals. If you don't know the fundamentals of art, your art will never go to the next level. So what are the fundamentals? I'm not gonna go in depth into these. I'm just gonna list examples. So the fundamentals can be form, proportions, life drawing, foreshortening, perspective drawing, color theory, composition, principles of animation, shape language. All those skills help a lot in making your art just really that much better. It applies to basically all art, or at least all visual art in a lot of ways. Not only does it make you a more well-rounded artist, but it makes you quote-unquote properly trained artist. And a lot of jobs seek properly trained artists, and they don't seek someone with a degree, they're just seeking someone that knows those fundamentals. In a lot of the job posts that I see, that I run into, it says, we want someone that knows composition, that knows the fundamentals of art. We want someone that knows, shape language and form and perspective and blah, 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 blah. The fundamentals are important because they're the building blocks of more specialized skills. It's basically level 1, and if you don't master level 1, you're not gonna do well in level 2. Your foundation needs to be strong in order for the rest of your art skills to stand on their own. Another part of this is, I'm sure people have told you this by now, but you do gotta learn the rules to break the rules. The rules are less rules or more guidelines. If you learn that a certain composition evokes this emotion, you can play around and saying, well, what does doing the opposite of that? What would that do? Or the audience is expecting this one thing to happen because I set it up in the way, in this compositionally in this way, but at the end I flip it, or at the end I switch it with something else, or I make my own thing, and that subverts expectations. And you broke the rule, but you did it with knowledge of what that would affect the audience. And that's what people mean when they say, learn the rules to break the rules. I recently did an online modeling course called 3D Modeling for Production. And in that course, I have learned a lot how working on the primary shapes and secondary shapes get you as close to likeness as you possibly can. And tertiary shapes should come last, if at all. You can completely do away with tertiary shapes and tertiary forms if you really want to. You can make art with only primary and secondary shapes. Now, tertiary shapes elevates the art. It gives it detail, makes it a little more polished, more professional, whatever you might want to call it. But primary and secondary shapes really show that you know what you're doing because they're accurate. If you can't get the primary and secondary shapes down, your tertiary shapes are not going to save your artwork. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of us, I think, get really caught up in doing the tertiary shapes, which is all the details, the cool textures, the rendering techniques and things like that. And we don't spend enough time on the basics, which is the big shapes, again, primary shapes and secondary shapes. So it's basically the same philosophy I'm saying. If you just learn the fundamentals, the rest of it will fall into place. The details will fall into place. Whereas if you don't, it's just gonna make everything look a little off, and you're never gonna be able to pinpoint exactly why it looks off, but it's usually because you need to work on the fundamentals. Your skills will always, always, always be reinforced by practicing your fundamentals. So we're toward the end of the video where I really do want to highlight some artists, some organizations, some projects that I think we should support as a community. And this week I want to support a blog page called Be That Artist. It is a blog run by Elisa Morriconi. She is a concept artist from the UK, and she does a lot of really informative, useful art blog posts about the industry, about getting a job, about being a successful artist. The blog is honestly really, really well done. She takes a lot of time and effort into making this blog happen, so I absolutely recommend y'all go over there. I'm going to link one of the very helpful articles in the description, specifically specifically about how to go about landing a job in the industry, whether you're a professional or a recent graduate or somewhere in between. She does really good work, and she supports other artists in the community, and I think we should support her blog. She's a great artist trying to give back to the community in the way of knowledge and information and just kind of her own experiences as an artist. The other thing I'd like to call attention to is the fire relief in California, and I think it would be great if you have the means to donate to some of these organizations that are helping families have a place to sleep, have a hot meal. And this happened mainly in LA, and it could benefit a lot of the artists that may have lost their homes, may have lost their art equipment to be able to do work. I will post some links down in the description about the fire relief, about the blog I just mentioned, Be That Artist, and other stuff. So please check it out. And I think that's it for this week. Now I can take this shit off.